So I think now we are ready to launch on the second section. Second section is a shorter one.
Already?
It is a shorter one.
We didn't finish the.
Second section is a shorter one than the first.
We finished the first one.
Yeah, well, relatively, relatively, but and the certainly more easy, much more easy than the first section. First section is unbeatable. It has 42 sentences and 156 lines. And I hope we will be able to finish it rather soon, you see. Well, let us start with the last sentence of the previous section, 1.46. All sprang to their unvarying daily acts. The 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseen instant's urge, and leader here, with his uncertain mind, alone who stares at the future's covered face, man lifted up the burden of his fate. Here, the pronoun here, all sprang to their. There, of course, refers here to all. Now, this all is amplified here. The 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree. This all is amplified in the 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree. Now, it is among these that man arose, man came on the scene, and he lifted up the burden of his fate. Now, this his is specific. Man can do at the most that much only. He can lift up his own burden. He can't lift up the burden of the universe. He can't solve the basic problem of this creation, the problem of ignorance, of death, of mortality. That is beyond him. That is beyond him. Therefore, that is specific to man, his capabilities, his possibilities, potentialities, and things like that, you see. Now, these 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree, we have seen many times what these are, and I think we can quickly refer back what these 1,000 peoples are. On the evolutionary scale, through the various manvantras, how from nothing started things appearing. And now we are at a stage when man is about to appear on the evolutionary scene. The animal proper is a lower type. Actually, it belongs to here. Man already exists, but as a god, demigod in Bhuvar of Bhuloka. He already exists there. Now it is he who comes here. Man is the son of the Manu and is assigned the place in Diva and Pradiva, in heaven and in the Sarga Bhumi. Then he descends to earth, and thither from earth he returns. That is his station. It is there where he goes back. When the human body is ready in the process of evolution, human body worked out by nature, by Prakriti. When she is ready, when the body is ready, then he descends upon earth and occupies it. Same thing will happen perhaps for the higher being who has to come here now, the Gnostic being. The human body has to prepare itself to such an extent that the supramental being can come and live in it. It has to be prepared, it has to be processed, it has to be molded. When the human body is ready, then he descends upon earth and occupies it. He is not a native of earth. He is the Manomaya Purusha. He lives in the world of mind. He is Manomaya Purusha, not native of, he comes on earth in the process of evolution. The same thing will happen. The Gnostic being is there. He is not native to earth. He will come and carry the evolution further. Yes, he will come. Well, how soon he will come? I think we have to do a lot of work for that. We have to do a lot of tapasya, a lot of yajna for that to happen. You see, a lot of yoga also, but it will happen.
And you mean the future man?
Future man.
Ah, I thought you are speaking about
Exactly, future man. I'm talking. Yeah. The animal proper is a lower type. The 1,000 peoples of the sun, of the soil and tree, that is the animal proper. Certain devas of the Manasika plane in the Bhura Loka descend the higher type of animal. Higher type of animal. Now, I would say this is a clear indication of the kind of people who had come and descended in the animal type, not in animal type. Vanaras, Hanumana, Vibhishana, Jambavanta. See, these are the people who have been described in great detail in the Ramayana, and it is in them that the higher type has come and descended. They are almost ready to be men. Higher type of animal. They are not mental beings proper, but only half mental, vital beings. They live in packs, tribes, etc., with a communal existence together as an aggregate. They are individual souls, but the individuality is less vigorous than the type soul. The type soul, I mean, for instance, each animal belongs to a kind of a species. Ant belongs to a species. Bee belongs to a species. It is not that type. So it is slightly different. It is more distinct than that. If they were not individual, they would not be able to incarnate in individual forms. Well, then the animal develops the tribe life, the communal life, aggregate life, the pack or clan life, the family life. You see, you heard of elephants, the pack of lions, all of them live together in a certain sense. He develops chitta, manasa, the rudiments of reason. Then only man appears on the scene. That is the appearance of. It is at this stage then man comes up on the scene and lifts up the burden of his faith. You see, the other people are not able to do that kind of a thing. This does not appear. Sorry, how does this appear? Prajapati man. Well, we'll skip this one. Man begins with the Satya Yuga. That is the first cycle of the 4 sets of Yuga, Satya Yuga, where we have 4 avatars. In the Satya Yuga, there are 4 avatars: fish, tortoise, boar, and half lion, half man, Narasimhan. Not these are men's beginning. He rises by the descent of ever higher type of Manu from the Bhura Loka. First, he is Pashu, Pishacha, Pramatta, Rakshasa, Asura, Deva, Siddha. See, this is the ascending series of these people, you see. Actually, the earlier cycles were concerned with these 4 or 5. The age of Satya Yuga was concerned with them. There were Asura, there were Pishasa, there were Rakshasa, the very strong, vital beings, giants and titans in the Greek mythology. They were there, you see. And they had to go away. Then the Olympian gods arrived on the scene, you see, in the Greek mythology, you see. Same way, means this is the ascending series. Now, therefore, the avatarhood of this, the avatarhood of Rama appears somewhere here. Before that, Parshurama had destroyed all these vital powers which are there on the earth. 21 times he made the earth without what we call Kshatriya, Kshatriya, you see. 21 times, you see. In other words, all these Asuric forces, Rakshasic forces which were there, they had to be conquered and subdued. And that is what had happened before Rama's arrival. And Rama's coming here is a transition now between this people and the appearance of man. That is the real significance of Ramayana, in fact. He ascends the ladder of his own being towards Satpurusha, man. Then only man appears. How does man appear? Prajapati manifests as Vishnu, Upendra, smaller. Incarnate in the animal as Pashu, the first three avatars we can say, in whom four manos have already manifested themselves. And the first human creature who appears is, in this kalpa, the Vanara. That is Satya Yuga, Vanara. Not the animal ape, but man with the ape nature. Ape-like. In fact, that is what we got in Savitri, ape-like. He says, he doesn't say ape, he says ape-like creature. Man arose from ape-like creature, you see. He, Satya Yuga, is the first paradise of man's arrival, you see. Now, it is in this context you have to see these 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseen instance urge, and leader here with his uncertain mind, well, he is a mental being, and therefore there is no concreteness, no definiteness, no certainty about his knowledge. What he has acquired is a knowledge of reason, and the quality of reason is to keep on doubting, endless doubting, you see, reason. So this is always uncertain in that sense, uncertain mind, alone who stares at the future's covered face. Man lifted up the burden of his fate again. Now here, obviously, this is the transition between the appearance of man and what is going to happen beyond man. The appearance of Savitri, the arrival of Savitri at this stage is in the context of something which man cannot do. Man cannot go beyond his fate. If he has to cross that, something else has to happen. And that something who is going to do is this Savitri. And therefore, yes, man can do, he is doing, trying, struggling, striving, all those things are there. But then he has to also go beyond that. But that is beyond the capacity of man, his potentiality. See, in the Aitareya Upanishad, the gods wanted to inhabit here, and the spirit offered them first a cow. Go and occupy the cow. The spirit offered to them, go and occupy the cow. Then the god said, no, I am sorry, we are sorry, cow is not sufficient for us. It is not sufficient. Okay, you don't like cow, okay, then I offer you horse. See, these are their qualities. It's a cow and horse, they indicate certain kind of qualities, certain kind of possibilities. Horse, the vital force. Cow, the sattvic energy which is there, is what they indicate there. See. Horse, again the god said, sorry, this is not sufficient for us. And then finally the spirit said, okay, I offer you man. And then the god said, yes, man is well made. We will go and occupy man. And that is how all the divine gods are in contact with man, are helping man, taking him forward in his effort in the evolutionary process. They are helping them. They are occupied with it. Their anguish, their concern is the progress of man in the evolutionary process. But still, that is not sufficient. And therefore, what has to happen is some other higher power has to come and take things forward. And that higher power is what we have here as Savitri. Savitri is going to be here now, and she will lift up the burden for man and take things forward. She will build up a man better than him, better than man, so that gods who are quite happy with man will see that there are other possibilities also now, and the higher superior gods will appear there. It was our before the gods awake. This is what had happened here before the gods awake. Now, when Savitri had done that work, then the higher gods, the gods who have not come into play here, they will also come and appear on the scene, you see, on the evolutionary scene, you see. Man, as we have got here, 7 chakras are there, 7 centers are there. They are not sufficient for the higher being. Now, if they had to be built up in man, then it is impossible by man to do it. A higher power has to come and work out. And it is that thing which Savitri is going to do. And therefore, Savitri too awoke among these tribes, all these 1,000 peoples, all these vanaras, animals, etc., animal-like being, you see. Savitri too awoke. These tribes refers to that, you see. Savitri too awoke among these tribes. Again, as I said earlier, he uses the verb awoke. He doesn't say Savitri too was born. No. Savitri has been there right from the beginning. Even before the arrival of man on the evolutionary scene, she has been there all along. But now she is coming into active action. Her play is going to begin with this. In other words, we can say that the real awakening of Savitri, the arrival of Savitri on the evolutionary scene begins with the avatarhood of Rama, where the transition is taking place. Well, people say that it may be about 8,000 years ago, Ramayana. Some of the estimates are 5,000 and odd BC, roughly 8,000 years ago, but I think it belongs to much more than that. You see, by astronomical cycles, you say 5,000 BC, but the astronomical cycles repeat. They can go back further down, and it may be in the previous cycle also. So, we can't say when exactly it happened. And Savitri too awoke among these tribes that hastened to join the brilliant Samanas chant. Now again, a difficult phrase, brilliant Samanas chant, you see. That hastened. Who hastened? The tribes. The tribes hastened to join what? The brilliant Samanas chant. Savitri too awoke among these tribes. He doesn't say she hastened. That hastened. That refers to the tribes. And lured by the beauty of the apparent way. So Savitri among who? Savitri among these tribes. They are already kind of conscious beings to hear the Samanas chant, the brilliant Samanas chant. Now the arrival of Savitri and the Samanas chant is a very major event. Very major event. Now, of course, in the context of the development of the poetic symbolism, we can always link up Samana with the sun himself, the sun god, the dawn, all the description is there. He is the Samana. It is the sun god who is summoning all these people to go forward, which is quite an obvious thing. But I think there is a deeper sense than that also. There is a deeper sense than that also. The deeper sense is, we are saying, the omniscient goddess had come. She did her job. She kindled the yajna in the earth consciousness. And from the yajna was a kind of an invocation for the divine incarnation, for the avatarhood's presence here on the earth scene. The appearance of the avatar is what the yajna was for. So if it is the yajna for the arrival of the avatar, then the summoner is none but that avatar. It is in response to the call, response to the praise of that summoner, that Savitri is moving forward. Savitri is going to obey only the command, the order of the Supreme Himself, directly from the Supreme Himself. When that happens, only then our real work begins. So I would rather link the summoner to the arrival of the avatar and his chant, the praise. What is the chant and the praise of this summoner? What is the praise we are going to see? All these great siddhas, yogis, rishis, they are praising this avatar. And for what? That he should come here and establish the divine life upon the earth. That is the chant for them things. And lived with the beauty of the apparent way. And lived by the beauty of the apparent way. Now, who is lived by the beauty of the apparent way? Obviously, not these 1,000 people of the soil and tree. They are already there in the transient world, in the smaller world. So there is no question of they are lived. They are already in the apparent ways, all the 1,000 people of the soil and tree. So it is Savitri who is lived by these apparent ways. Savitri who is beyond these apparent ways, it is she who is kind of attracted towards this scene. And it is she who is purposefully going to enter into this work. Yes. Purposefully lived. Acclaimed their portion. Yes, I will be there. I accept all your difficulties. I accept the problems of mortality. I am willing to put on the yoke of death and ignorance and take it forward. She accepts that, you see. Ephemeral joy of the 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree. Their apparent ways of the soil and tree. Now, what is the Samana's chant? I think we'll go back to what we had done earlier long ago in the book of fate. Narad is coming from his home in paradise with the word of fate and going to enter King Ashwapati's palace to tell what Savitri has to do, to give kind of diksha to Savitri. He is carrying a word of fate. Of course, apparently, the word of fate is he will come and tell Savitri, Savitri, you have chosen Satyavan for your husband, but I am sorry to tell you that he will die 1 year after the marriage. That is the blunt language of it. But there is a deeper sense in it, there is a deeper meaning in it, there is something valuable in what has happened in the history of earth. And to kind of put his heavenly stamp on it, he comes hasteningly to tell to Savitri, well done Savitri, go ahead. That kind of a thing, you see. Now, let us read that part quickly. We'll read 106.8 onward. He sang the name of Vishnu and the birth. You see, he's talking about birth now. He sang, while he's coming now, step by step, he sang the name of Vishnu. Vishnu, the avatar. He sang the name of Vishnu and the birth, and joy and passion of the mystic world, and how the stars were made and life began. He is tracing the entire history of evolution, how the stars were made, how life began, and the mute region stirred with the throb of his soul. While he is singing the name of Vishnu, you see, he is coming and chanting. That is chant, Samana's chant, you see. He sang the inconscient and his secret self, his power omnipotent, knowing not what it does, all shaping without will or thought or sense. His blind, unerring occult mystery, and darkness yearning towards eternal light. That has been the prayer. Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, darkness yearning to the eternal light, and love that brews within the dim abyss and waits the answer of the human heart, and death that climbs to immortality. It is the death himself is climbing to immortality. He sang of the truth that cries from nights of blind deeds. It is there lying, Satya is lying there in the depth of night, and the Mother Wisdom hid his nature's breath, and the idiom that through her dimness world, and the miracle of the transforming hand of life that slumbers in stone and sun. Life that's in the sun also it is slumbering there because of material. And mind subliminal in mindless life, and the consciousness that waits in the beasts and men. Beasts and men. Thousands of people, you see, again coming here, beasts and men. He sang of the glory and marvel still to be born of the future. He is talking now, he has traced the entire history of evolution. What is the future of this evolution? Of the glory and marvel to be born, of Godhead throwing off at last its veil, of bodies made divine and life bliss, immortal sweetness clasping immortal mind, heart changing heart, thought looking straight at thought, and the delight when every barrier will, and the transfiguration and the ecstasy, and the transfiguration and the ecstasy. So what is the chant? Samana's chant. The Samana's chant is the chant of transfiguration and ecstasy. Yes, all this is there, all that ignorance which is there, all this mortality which is there, they will be changed, they will be transfigured. Transfiguration and ecstasy, happiness, ananda, ananda, ananda. That is what he is singing all the while. And it is that chant of the Samana which is now drawing all these people forward, you see. Samana's chant, that is chant, the chant of transfiguration and ecstasy. It is that which is, it is for that everybody is hastening forward. See, all the siddhas, rishis, yogis, they are hastening for that of transfiguration and ecstasy, and lured with the beauty. Therefore, there is a lure of beauty of apparent ways. Yes, they are apparent ways, but they are bound to change. There is bound to be the transfiguration. There is bound to be the ananda. They are bound to change. Acclaim their position. Yes, therefore I want to come here. Claim all the arts of mortality and take mortality forward, you see. Akin to the earthly eternity when she came. Now, the yogic poet has already said all that he has to say about Savitri. What is Savitri? She is akin to the eternity when she came, from where she has come. She is not an earthly being. That is one point he has made very clear immediately. She has come from somewhere, from eternity. She is the denizen of eternity. She lives always in Brahmaloka, in the world of eternity, always there, she is there. She is natural in her ways of doing things as she would do in that world. Yet she takes part in a small happiness. So yeah, no part she took in small happiness. She does not indulge in these trivial things of life here. She comes here, but she does not indulge herself in the small little trivialities here. A mighty stranger in the human field, the embodied guest within made no response. In other words, she is the divine goddess. She has come here. She has come here, that does not mean that she is going to indulge into small things. She has accepted, acclaimed mortality, but she is not indulging in the smallnesses of mortality. Acclaim the portion of ephemeral joy, akin to eternity, whence she came, no part she took in this small happiness. A mighty stranger in a human, yes, In other words, she has come from a very different kind of a world altogether, the realm of light and beauty and joy and sweetness and happiness and all those things. She has come from here, and therefore she is a stranger here completely. The embodied guest made no response. The embodied guest, Savitri has taken a mortal birth. But who has taken the mortal birth? Who has accepted the lot of mortality? The divine Savitri herself. It is the divine Savitri who has taken the mortal birth, and therefore she is the guest here. The divine Savitri in the mortal world is therefore a guest here. In fact, we are also carrying, each one of us, a divine guest within us. He is there within us. He has accepted our lot, our mortality, our foolishness, our stupidity, all ignorance, death, suffering. He has accepted that thing, but he is there as a guest here. So, embodied, he uses the capital G, the divine Savitri herself, who is there in mortal Savitri, who has taken the mortal birth. It is she within made no response. She does not bother about the small little thing. Her concern is to lift up the burden of fate and take things forward as much as possible. Because she is always, you see, akin to eternity, at once you can see here, she is already the incarnation, the avatar. Savitri is coming here, is an avatar. No part she took in this small happiness. Why should she? Because she is already a great person there. Now, we can see here the difference between what Savitri is. She has taken the immortal birth, she has come here. The divine soul is already there in her, and it is that who will work through the mortal instrument of Savitri. That is the whole process of operation. In contrast to this Savitri's mortal birth, we have seen earlier that the omniscient goddess had come here. She thought that the spaces were ready for her, that she could come and stay here upon earth. She came as an ambassadress. She thought that the spaces were ready for her. But then finally she withdrew. She had come here only carrying a message, only to kindle the fire of yajna, the urge and the hope in man. She had come for that. She had not come here to participate in the process of mortality. She only lighted the fire, went back, and her job was done, the omniscient goddess. In contrast to that omniscient goddess, Savitri is coming here and participating in the process of mortality. She is the one who is going to carry things forward, Savitri. So that is the difference. In other words, things upon earth cannot change only by paying a visit or simply bringing a message, as did the omniscient goddess. The omniscient goddess came here to prepare a certain field, and the field was prepared in such a way that the divine could incarnate himself upon earth. And when the samana, the divine incarnation takes place, then the divine Shakti, Savitri, comes here. Now we have already seen that akin to eternity, when she came, no part she took in this mortal happiness, a mighty stranger in the human field. But she has not taken any part. It does not mean that she has not accepted mortality. She has in fact rather accepted all the conditions of mortality. We'll see what the mother has said about this one. We have seen this thing earlier, but we'll quickly see this in the present context. Mother was asked, Mother, suffering comes from ignorance and pain. But what is the nature of the suffering and pain the Divine Mother feels for her children? the Divine Mother in Savitri, the question is specific. She has come here. What does she feel about this ignorance and fate? Now, this question is pertinent. This question is applicable only to Savitri. This question is not applicable to the omniscient goddess who had come. This question is not applicable to that. It is because she participates in their nature. This can happen. She comes here, participates in the material process. She has descended upon earth to participate in their nature, because if she did not participate in their nature, she could not lead them further. She had to participate, she had to take this participation. If she remained in her supreme consciousness where there is no suffering, in a supreme knowledge and consciousness, she could not have contact with human beings. To have contact with human beings, she had to participate. While she is participating, it does not mean that she has forgotten herself, that she is great. That is important. She participates, but she does not forget herself at all. And it is for this that she is obliged to take on the human consciousness and form. It is to be able to enter into contact with them. Only she does not forget. She does not forget who she is. She has adopted their consciousness, but she remains in relation with her own real supreme consciousness. That is what this Savitri line says. Akin to eternity when she came, no part she took. No part she took does not mean that she has forgotten. See, this is what has clarified, you see. No part she took in this small happiness. A mighty stranger in the human field, recall that wakes the leap of human mind, is checkered, eager motion of pursuit, is fluttering hued illusion of desire, visited her heart like a sweet alien note. Recall that wakes the leap of human mind to go beyond what he is, the urge, the aspiration, is checkered, eager motion. Well, that is the nature of mind, checkered, black and white, shadow and light constantly mixed together. Motion of pursuit is fluttering illusion of desire. Yes, I am carrying, that is what man thinks, that I am listening. Visited her heart like a sweet alien note. He doesn't really. Time's message of brief light was not for her. That is the summary of the whole thing. Time's message of brief light was not for her. In other words, she is akin to eternity. She comes here, but she does not go by the obligations of time, by the moments of time. She will exercise her own will in the moments of time. Time's message of brief light was not for her. It's a very beautiful line, metrically very rare kind of a line also. See, if you scan this line, time's message of brief light was not for her. Time's message of, means the first foot is time's mess. That is strong. Sponty. Message of short. Pyrrhic. So you have got sponty, following sponty you get pyrrhic, then you got brief light, again strong, sponty. So you have got sponty, pyrrhic, sponty. And again, was not for her. Well, actually, in the strictest sense, was not, is a pyrrhic, short. Also for her, is also a pyrrhic, short. Metrically. So you have got here, if you go by the strictest sense, you have got sponty, you have got pyrrhic, you have got sponty, and again pyrrhic. Short. So that is the metrical construction, very unusual, very beautiful construction. Time's message of brief light was not for her. See, it kind of rings, hammers into you the message. Time's message. Yes, time is there, but it is not for her. You see. Although we are calling this thing was not for her as pirik, short. But a kind of a little stress could be given in the context. Was not for her. We can stress not, we can stress her also. We can stress. Means, in other words, time, message, or brief, life was not for her, but that will be too rhetorical, you see. That will be too rhetorical, you see. I would still go by pirik, you see. Time's message or brief light was not for her. In her, there was the anguish of the gods, imprisoned in our transient human mode, the deathless conquered by the death of time. In her, there was the anguish of the gods. Gods have anguish for the human creature. They are concerned about human creature. In fact, they are there for that purpose. The high gods, the transcendental gods, they are for that purpose. They do their immortal work in the transcendent for the good of man on earth. They create conditions, they fight out forces which will oppose the progress, the growth of man. And there is a constant concern of these gods for man, anguish. And in her, Savitri, of course, is carrying that anguish of these gods for man. Man has to be taken forward, he has to be helped, the evolution has to move beyond man. That is her concern all the while. So the gods are there. See, we have seen already the divine goddess had come, the omniscient goddess had come, and she retired, she went back to do her immortal work. The phrase used there, her immortal work. She is busy all the while to take things forward, you see. Her concern is there for man, for evolution, always. And it is that anguish of the gods which is present in Savitri. In fact, in a certain sense, Savitri's concern is more than the anguish of the gods. The anguish of the gods is basically to help man fight out the forces that oppose his growth. That is the concern of these gods, to fight out forces who oppose his growth, his spiritual progress, his advance. That is the concern, you see. Savitri's concern is beyond that. Savitri's concern is, yes, man has to do all that thing, but then a greater creature than man has to appear on the scene. Her concern is, man is afflicted by death. Man is subject to death. The sway of death is stopping his progress. As long as death is present, he will be governed by falsehood. Man will be governed by falsehood. Therefore, Savitri's concern in that sense is greater, that remove all those difficulties. The other gods, these gods, they can only help. All right, let me give you some kind of a help and make you move. But they cannot remove the mortality which is there in man, the ignorance which is there in man, the death which is there in man, that they cannot remove, you see. So Savitri's concern is in that sense really larger concern than the concern of this God, than the anguish of this God. In her there was the anguish of the God, imprisoned in our transient human mold, the deathless conquered by the death of things, deathless conquered by death. Now this is a kind of a echo of Vedic phrase, divine Agni in man. Agni in man is described in the Veda as the immortal in the mortal. He is immortal in the mortal. He is deathless in mortality, in death. Now here, the deathless conquered by the death of things. Well, he has accepted now the conditions of transience. He is helped by the death of things. It is the death who is presently the promoter of immortality of man in life. It is the death who is the promoter of immortality on man, conquered. Therefore, means divine Agni has accepted the conditions of death to make progress. You see. A vaster nature's joy. So this is the nature of joy. A vaster nature's joy had once been her. A vaster nature. Brahat Shakti. Vast means Brahat, wide. Brahat Shakti, nature, Prakriti. Transcendental power, transcendental nature had once been her. Yes, she belongs to that world of Brahat, of joy, of ecstasy, of Satchit Ananda. She belongs to that kind of a place. That had been one. She has abandoned that and she had accepted the small conditions of mortality, a vaster nature, Brahat Shakti, transcendental nature, Para Prakriti. But long could not keep its gold heavenly hue or stand upon the brittle earthly base. She has to sacrifice all that to accept the conditions of mortality. Savitri is native to that world of wonder and joy and beauty and love and sweetness and all that thing. But she has accepted now this small condition. Stand upon this brittle earthly base, this fragile, breakable base on which she is standing. There is no firmness at all of joy, nor of mortality, of anything at all. She is a brittle base. But long could keep not its gold heavenly hue, the transcendental, the supramental characteristics, the powers, the features, she could not keep here because she has accepted the conditions of mortality, of darkness, of ignorance, you see. It is a great sacrifice Savitri has made. She belongs to the transcendental world with all those great glories. She has given up those things and come here and accepted little her Aishwarya, her Vaibhava, her royalty, her purple grandeur. She has left behind and she has come here into a dark, murky world and accepted, acclaimed their faithful joy. We'll read a small passage from the mother about this one. The divine power, the divine Shakti, the transcendental Mahashakti, when she comes here, the mother not only governs all from above, but she descends into this lesser triple universe, universe of mind, life, matter, in this triple universe. Impersonally, all things here, even the movements of ignorance are hustled on veiled power and a creation is diminished substance. Her nature body and nature force, and they exist because moved with the mysterious fiat of the Supreme to work out something that was there in the possibilities of the infinite. So why she accepts this smallness, this littleness? Because there is a possibility of working out something in this little world, in this finiteness. Therefore she accepts that thing. Work out something that was there in the possibilities of the infinite. Yes, in the mortality, there is a possibility of the immortal coming and living and doing its work. There is a possibility. She has consented to the great sacrifice and put on like a mask the soul and forms of the ignorance. She has consented. Acclaim. You see, again, fellow, you see. discipline. But personally too, she is not only as a universal mother from above. Means this is what the divine goddess could do. But here, in contrast to the omniscient goddess, what has happened here is, but personally too, she has stooped to descend into the darkness that she may lead it to light, into the falsehood and error that she may convert it to the truth, into this death that she may turn it to godlike life. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Into this world pain and its obstinate sorrow and suffering, that she may end it in the transforming ecstasy of a sublime Ananda. Transforming ecstasy. Narad sang the chant of the transfiguration and the ecstasy. The transfiguration and ecstasy. It is that chant, you see, that end in the transfiguring ecstasy of a sublime Ananda. In her deep and greater love for her children, she has consented to put on herself the cloak of obscurity, condescended to bear the attacks and torturing influences of the powers of darkness and falsehood, born to pass the portals of the birth, that is the death, born to pass the portals of the. Well, this is the phrase we have been repeating again and again, many times. The portals of the birth, that is the death. She has accepted that condition. She has taken birth so that she can work out through death the possibilities of deathlessness. That is the condition. She has born to pass the portals of the birth, that is the death. Now this is the uniqueness of divine Savitri. No other god or goddess is going to do it. They are happy there. They will help from above there. From their own world, they will help everybody. They are not going to take the trouble of passing through the portals of birth and death. They say, okay, we will help you, but we don't want to take the trouble of that kind of a thing. You see. It is the uniqueness of Savitri, that is what we are seeing here. You see. Taken upon herself the pangs and sorrows and sufferings of creation, since it seems that thus alone, you see, there is no other way, thus alone could it be lifted to the light and joy and truth and eternal life. Only by accepting this condition, it is possible to change condition. The transfiguration and ecstasy comes when you accept this condition and pass through them. This is the great sacrifice of the Purusha, but much more deeply the holocaust of Prakriti, the sacrifice of the Divine Mother. This is the great sacrifice of the Purusha. This phrase refers to the Vedic Sukta, Purusha Sukta. The Purusha was sacrificed in the yajna. His head, his limbs, his heart, everything was sacrificed in the yajna. And out of them, then the fourfold being arose, you see. But this is the great sacrifice of Purusha Sukta. But actually, it is more than the sacrifice of Purusha or being. It is the sacrifice of Prakriti, or the divine nature herself, which is more important here. This is what we have here. A vast nature's joy once had been hers. See, this is the sacrifice she has made. The holocaust of the Supreme Nature. But long could keep not its cold heavenly hue, or stand upon this brittle earthly base. In other words, if that vaster nature has to work here, has to be established here, that Brahat Shakti has to work here, then this brittle earthly base has to be changed. The entire work lies now here, to change the earthly bases, to prepare the ground. Adhara Bhumi has to be kept ready so that the divine powers can come here, stand upon it and do their work. Adara Bhumi has to be prepared. A narrow movement on time's deep abysm. Life's fragile littleness denied the power, the proud and conscious whiteness, and the bliss she had brought with her into the human form, the calm delight that vests one soul to all, the key to the flaming doors of ecstasy. The narrow moment in time, she has accepted the conditions of mortality. She has condescended to pass through the portals of the birth, that is a death. For what? In this brittle earthly way, life's fragile littleness, they had to be changed. The proud and conscious wideness and the bliss she had brought with her into the human form, she has taken the mortal birth as a human being. She has sacrificed herself totally. And what does she see here? What has she brought here? The calm delight that wets one's soul to all. See, in spite of all these conditions, her delight, her happiness is a Shanta Rasa. There is the Shanta delight, Harsha Rasa, calm Shanta, that wets one soul to all. So what is the, for what? The key to the flaming doors of ecstasy. The doors will open out with that key. Which key? Of oneness. The key of oneness. You have to discover your soul, and through the discovery of your soul, identify yourself with all the other souls. It is that key of oneness of all the souls which she has got, and with that key she is opening the doors of ecstasy, the doors of happiness, the doors of ananda. When there is a unity of all the souls, you have to identify yourself first with. You have to first discover, find out your own soul, and with that, then you have to identify with all the other souls. This is what Savitri has done. She has accepted the mortal condition, all these littlenesses, all these smallnesses, all these sufferings, ignominy of this creation, she has accepted, and in spite of this ignominy, she has kept herself very awake to her soul. With the discovery of her soul, with the identification of her soul, with the souls of everybody around, she has opened the doors of flaming doors of ecstasy, divya, galanta, dwara. She has opened for everybody. See, the key to the flaming doors of ecstasy. This is her work. And the key for all these things is the oneness. In fact, this is what we had also seen in the case of Ashwapati. Ashwapati has already established in the transcendent a new world, a new creation. And his concern was to bring down that new world, that new creation upon earth. How to do that thing? There was only one key, and that key was the oneness of each and everything. If that is there, that thing should also be here, because that oneness is all pervasive. It can't be that it is there and it cannot be here. Then the oneness is lost. So he identifies himself with everything, and because of that oneness, then he says that the creation can be established here upon the earth. New creation can be. Here, Savitri has again that thing, one soul to all. Ties, binds one soul to every other soul. That is the real brotherhood, the real sense of brotherhood, I would call, you see. Soul to soul, the psychic relationship of everybody. That is the fraternity, equality, liberty, fraternity. The fraternity comes here, you see. Then other things will follow automatically, see. Oneness of the soul, that is the real fraternity.